Hey, what's up? Ed Lava here, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be doing something a little bit special. I have this painting here that I did, and I recorded it, and I have it sped up to about 300%. It was originally about an hour and a half, and what I'm going to try to do is explain some of the processes I used and kind of how I went about this the best that I can. First things first here, I usually start with kind of a mid-gray or light gray, depending on the kind of scene I want to make. Honestly, I probably could just start with blue and then adjusted it with curves, but I decided to make it harder on myself. At least in daytime scenes, you can easily get away with that, just because there isn't a whole lot of color variation. Then I kind of went and grabbed a brighter, almost gray for the horizon, just because there's so much atmosphere, and it does get brighter and a little bit grayer towards the horizon. And I went in with curves and brightened up the corner for where I want my light to be coming in. And starting at the land here, I just kind of very quickly blocked in kind of the basic shape of the land I was going for. Just this huge couple of mountain ranges, kind of low laying, kind of what I was thinking here. And then darkened it down a little bit, trying to bring up the contrast from the sky. And for this I was thinking kind of half of it would be in overcast, and light would kind of be pouring in from where I set up my light source. So I'm just going in with kind of sort of a big soft brush. It's a little bit specialized. The other brushes I use in this are pretty much come with standard Photoshop. Big chalky brush is my main brush that I use pretty much most of the time for landscapes, and you can see me using that now. I'm using it to fill in kind of a lighter green just to help pull the land forward. And I'm just, layering it on as I go, and I'm trying to build in some of the overall lighting scheme that I'm going for. And so I want the right side to be darker, and since the light is coming in from the top left, I'm just trying to represent that here, just very roughly. And I'm trying out some waterfalls. I do like putting waterfalls in these kind of pieces, but it's not always necessary, and you'll see later that I do get rid of it. And river here, water is very reflective, so you can pretty much sample off the sky in a lot of cases and just kind of get your base color in there. In tropical settings, you may not want to do that. Tropical water usually has that really nice aqua teal color to it. And coming over here, I'm trying to darken down that other landmass that's on the left. And now I'm coming in with kind of a lighter brush just to try to start putting in rock faces. It helps sell the illusion that this is kind of like a vertical face on the land here. It's not like a smooth transition. And you'll notice that when I'm painting, I'm trying to paint in direction I kind of want it to appear. So if you see there that those rocks are painted pretty much straight up and down, just to kind of help sell the illusion that it is rising up into space there. And now I'm going back through adjusting the clouds a little bit, and I'm trying to smooth them out. And for the brighter parts, clouds aren't like purely white. You want to avoid going like straight up pure white on them. And usually when they transition, it's not perfect white to the dark blue that I was using there. I added a little bit of kind of a reddish burgundy just to help transition from the light to the dark. And now I'm coming in and trying to play with that river some more, but I wasn't really liking it. Don't don't be too afraid to experiment early on. Usually when you start out just creating a document from scratch, just kind of painting to see what happens, you're going to want to just kind of play around, see what pops up. Sometimes you'll come up with something interesting, but other times you just go, and end up deleting it. Now in the background there, I wanted to brighten up the land there, just to kind of help sell that there's light pouring down onto that area. And in the foreground here, I'm trying to break up just some of the colors there, just layering them on top of each other, just to doesn't necessarily have to end up looking exactly like something, just kind of add additional colors in there and just break up the solidness of it. Now you see me here, I'm kind of landscaping the top of that mountain, just kind of adjusting the shape of it, trying to find something I like. Excuse me. And adding in some highlights and just kind of playing around with it, adding some additional texture to the rock. Just tiny little strokes with either darker or lighter on the rock can help sell that rock face. Just adding additional texture in there. What I'm basically trying to do is I'm trying to build up a number of colors and variations, just because when you look at a real rock face, there's quite a bit of different colors in there and different little textures that you might not think of. So just painting loose and keeping your hand swift is a good way to quickly add in texture without having to worry about too much what it is gonna look like in the end. And that's I think that's the key overall, is just stay loose with your hand as you go about something like this. And now I felt that there wasn't enough on the left side, so I added kind of a rising mountain, just to kind of connect maybe how that foreground cliff face falls into the distance. So now it's rising up into this big mountain that's a bit more in the distance. I used kind of a lighter green, and layering the paint on the sky there helped me pick out a new color that looks like it's falling further back into space. Then I'm adding some additional rock texture on top of it, just to help it rise vertically again there in the front, so it's not just this smooth transition up to the top. There's different levels to it. And then I'm trying to add darker to the one side, darker colors, and brighten up the side facing the light. Now I'm coming in with the curves, kind of bringing the whole contrast down. A lot of times I'll find when I'm painting from scratch is that the colors may end up too washed out, so just coming in with a quick curves adjustment is a great way to go about adjusting your colors. And then something I normally don't do, depending on how far I plan on taking, is combine the water layer with the base layer, just so I can kind of add some shadow on top of it using a big soft brush and a dark blue color. When you're doing, say, like a speed painting or just practice in general, sometimes it's good to try to paint with as little as layers as possible, just to kind of test yourself. That's kind of what I was doing here, just to kind of constrain yourself to working with something that might be a little bit more difficult. It helps. I feel it helps teach me control and just different ways to go about accomplishing things that you might run into in the future. So again, I'm playing around with the waterfalls there, but I wasn't liking them in this piece, and decided that I was just gonna go with the main I guess river here, instead of having a little extra water sources. Again, I'm just adding additional texture in here, just to break up the monotone of the color, just layering it on. And I think you'll find that when you do say a speed painting, it does start out kind of flat, and as you quickly add onto it, you'll be surprised at how much it changes in such a short amount of time. And adding a little bush here, like Bob Ross would say, just a little bush in the corner, just to add some variety to the foreground, just a few foreground elements. I didn't really want to fill up the foreground with huge structures or anything like that, just kind of a plain setting that kind of falls back into these mountains. And I'm taking a brush, and a great trick to add texture is to take, say, like a chalky brush, add scattering, rotation, and color variation to it. Just kind of paint on quickly. And you can add some chaotic texture to it, because nature is very difficult to kind of mimic just because it's so chaotic, but it's ordered at the same time. It's you want to have things, say a mountain range, but you don't want it to repeat too much. You want it to kind of be natural looking. So going back to the texture, it adds that variation in there, and with the rotation and scattering, it prevents it from becoming too much like a pattern. So again, I'm extending out the rock faces here, just kind of trying to figure out how that's sitting on the land there, and then adding some more brighter yellowish greens to the top for highlights where the sun might be hitting that. Just quickly filling in some vertical strokes to kind of outline how this is sitting here, and then some more to the shoreline there. And adding some kind of shadow and things sitting down over top of the rock, so it doesn't look like it just kind of fades into the yellows there. My goal with speed painting is I don't want to paint a ton of detail. I just want to imply details there. And coming in, highlighting the rock faces facing towards the light. If you've ever looked at Hudson River School paintings, they play a lot on light. I really liked them. How the artists were able to capture how light strikes landscapes. So got rid of the waterfalls, just kind of continuing to fill in the rock texture here, trying to get a good variation in how it looks. Darkening down the side there a little bit, just to kind of, because it's sitting farther back in the cloud area, it'd be a little bit darker and a little bit more of a blue as a fill light. Excuse me. And then just continue filling in the top there, coming along the shore, trying to add some more texture to the shoreline there, kind of sell the illusion that there's maybe some plants there, and more highlights. A lot of times for sampling colors is how you can alt when you have the brush up and select the color, and then I'll come in and bring up my color picker, the color dialog box there, and just slightly adjust it in various ways. And as you build up a color palette, you'll be able to pull more and more colors from your actual document. adding another bush in there. I'm using the scatter brush. Just trying to get a good feel for the colors and how it should sit in there. And I decided to add a rock in here, and a quick easy way to add solid rocks or something like that with a hard edge is to just use the lasso tool and trying to shade in the various faces. And highlights going towards a slight blue color just for reflecting the light from the sky. And the sharpen filter can actually be a great way to harden up the edges on, say, a rock, and kind of give the illusion that it is, well, a rock. And just kind of jumping around the painting, adding in additional textures and just little highlights as to how the light might be hitting that side of the rock face or a mountaintop. Again, coming in and adding more variation to that, I guess, like, kind of plant thing rising up to the top. Then I decided to add yet another mountainous mountain in there, just to kind of add some interest to the middle there, because it's feeling a bit empty. And then just coming in, trying to figure out how it's going to be lit and how the ground that's there falls back into it. And holding shift and painting horizontally across is a great way to make something appear that it's really falling into the distance. Adding some highlights to it as to how it's facing the sky. And trying to bring in that rock texture that I have in the foregrounds there. Just trying to shape how it sits there and how it looks overall. You saw a moment ago is very flat, and just quickly adding in some highlights and the rock face there quickly ties it in with the other two mountains that I've done. Just continuing to work in how it's connected with the land there. And darkening down that side, and then try to kind of have the light kind of hit that back portion. So maybe it's falling back into the clouds there, and there's some light coming in and brightening up that back spot. And coming in and just darkening down those sides there. And adjusting the rock some more. Just trying to help tie it in more with the overall lighting. Curves is a great way to quickly adjust how something appears. At least contrast and lightness wise with the rest of what you're working on. And using curves adjustment layers, you can quickly add say a vignette effect, or maybe you want the horizon to be brighter. I'm coming in and adjusting the cloud some more, adding some highlights, and just trying to harden up a little bit some of those edges. They were really soft. Adding a little bit more how it transitions, adding some more of that reddish transition into the distance there. I was kind of playing around with the idea of having the light hit up here, but I didn't feel that it would fit very well. So again, it's don't be afraid to experiment with what you're doing. You can always undo. If you're scared you're gonna run out of undos, or really mess something up, you can just not save and then hit F12 to revert to your last save, or do it on a new layer. Coming in, adding a bit of a shoreline, because it was just kind of going from the green straight to the water. So trying to add how this land hits the water here. And trying to adjust how it goes suddenly into the light there, going from the dark to the light. And it helps sell that this foreground area is in shadow. Trying to how when the I guess when shorelines hit water, usually they get a little bit darker as they get more saturated. And coming in, trying to address the water, because it just kind of looks like a big pile of blue right now. So I was trying to figure out how I could adjust this, and I decided to go with making it pretty calm and reflective. So adding in some of the reflection of the clouds there, and the darkness of being right up against that cliff face there on the side. And what I did, I just selected that mountain there, copied it onto a new layer, and then did a motion blur. And with reflections, they pretty much will always face towards the viewer, because of how the light from the mountain is hitting the water. It's bouncing towards your eye, so it's going to appear like it's always pointing at you. And just coming in with a layer mask and kind of cleaning up the bottom of that, and then fading it at the top there. And doing the same thing to this far mountain here. And then cleaning up the sides and bottom, and using gradient to have it fall off. I'm just coming in on the cliff face again, adding some additional highlights. Maybe adding some vines hanging down, or some kind of growth hanging down. And darkening it up so it doesn't feel as flat there. I'm coming in with a soft round brush and kind of adding some additional shadow in there, just to help make those the foliage on top there kind of rise up off the surface of the rock. Doing the same towards the top there. And coming over here and adding a little bit of additional highlight there. So maybe the side of the cliff falls back in the distance and then it comes out again. A little bit of a side facing the light. And then my goal is to kind of have the light fall off towards the bottom. So only the top is lit. I'm just coming in and adding some mist to the water here. Kind of helps create a nice atmospheric effect and can help set things farther into the distance. And just flipping the canvas is good every now and again. Sometimes I find when I'm painting it'll look okay and then I'll flip it and suddenly it'll appear like it's all tilting in one direction. And so you can catch that by flipping the canvas around. And it just helps refresh your eye on what you're looking at, because oftentimes when I'm staring at the same thing for a while, it'll start looking okay, and then you'll flip it and you suddenly be able to say, oh, there's some mistakes. And coming in, adjusting around brush, kind of flattening it out, adding some spacing, and going over the layer mask just to kind of add some ripples to the reflection there and break it up, just so it doesn't look like just like a flat piece of glass. Just maybe adding some movement to the water there. And what I'm doing now is I'm adding a curves adjustment mask and I'm brightening it up, and then I'm hiding everything and revealing how I want the light to spill in with a large soft brush, and just revealing it on the layer mask there. And I'm doing the same thing in the opposite direction with a shadow curves. So I usually do one highlight pass using curves and then a shadow pass using curves. And what that'll do is it'll help you create better lighting in what you're doing without really having to paint it into what you've created. It just helps create the overall look that you want in the end without having to go in and paint over every little painstaking detail in order to get the correct lighting. So just coming in here, adding some little minor details to the foreground to kind of help break up it up a little bit, add some texture in there. Because again, I'm not trying to paint individual blades of grass or individual leaves on those bushes or anything. I just want to imply detail. And again, I'll say staying loose with your painting on landscapes will help create a much more natural look than coming in very slowly and cautiously painting every slope or just every little thing. And just coming up at the end here, checking things out, seeing how it looks with the final lighting. And I was pretty happy with it about now. If I kept going with this, just to maybe take it to finished or maybe even matte level, you just keep tightening things up, continue adding detail, depending on what you're doing. Now, if I was going matte, then now would definitely be a good time to stop and start adding in my photographic elements. Usually with a speed paint like this, before a matte painting, you want to get the overall color scheme, contrast, and just kind of how everything is going to sit. Just so when you are adding those photos and you're not kind of conforming yourself to the photos, you're conforming to the photos to what you've done. And that'll just about do it for this walkthrough. So I hope it was helpful to kind of see a painting at a slower pace, just kind of have some guidance or rambling or whatever over top of it. And I apologize if my voice is a little bit off. I've had a cough for a couple weeks, and I was just trying to avoid breaking into a coughing fit while I try to record this. From here on out, I'm probably gonna try to do some more painting tutorials. Maybe after this, try to start at something basic and kind of build up. And every 10th tutorial, I'll be trying to do something like this, where I paint something out and then walk through it. So until next time, stay tuned, and thanks for watching.